Well, since many of you have requested that I do a follow-up lecture on some of the dragons found in the kingdom of Pixar, that is what we are doing today. The first beast we will be looking at is called the Sullivan fur dragon. Now, personally, I don't think this should be considered a dragon, as it is a mammal rather than a reptile, but apparently any large flying creature or swimming creature for that matter, is considered a dragon now. Anyway, despite this creature's somewhat intimidating appearance, there have surprisingly been no reported casualties on the part of this dragon. During its raids, they tend to be fairly short, with no real damage done to the villages. Some believe that, similar to the skeleton king wyvern, this is because it feeds off the emotion of fear. Another interesting feature of this dragon is its protective nature, especially of children. In fact, the dragon keeper, who originally brought the Sullivan fur dragon to us, a woman named Mary Gibson, had an encounter with this dragon at a very young age. When she was a child, she had accidentally wandered off away from her parents, having been lost in a crowd. Eventually, she ended up stranded in a large forest with no clue on where to go. That was when the Sullivan fur dragon appeared. At first, it simply tried to get rid of Mary by taking her to the nearby town. However, she kept coming back. Eventually, the beast took a fondness to her, and even years later still shares a bond with the girl. Despite its somewhat menacing appearance, this creature is not one to necessarily be afraid of. Now, this next dragon is one that I touched upon briefly in the last lecture, the Evangelion white wyvern. On the surface, it seems like a fairly basic wyvern, aside from its entirely white hide. However, there are two factors that set this creature apart. First, as opposed to the wasting load lifter, it is extremely aggressive. If you ever go up to it, even looking somewhat aggressive, it will proceed to blast several energy beams at you, until you either run away or are burnt to a crisp. Granted, with enough time and training, it can be domesticated, but I myself would not go about attempting this. The other unique feature that makes this dragon unique is its rather strange obsession with plants. This dragon could often be seen flying around collecting large trees and bushes. It's not unusual for dragons to hoard, mostly hoarding gold and jewels. However, it is unusual to have the item of obsession be plant life. We have quite a few of this species in our reserve, but how we've collected this one in particular is quite the story. This dragon used to belong to a sea captain, who'd use the dragon as a method to locate any nearby land by bringing back plants. However, one day, the dragon left the ship and never actually returned. Apparently, while it had been on its journey, it had found a mate, the wasting load lifter, as we covered in the last lecture. This actually made it fairly easy to find them both, and we were able to safely contain them and bring them back to the reserve. Here to this day, we still have issues with them taking all the plants. It's annoying. The next dragon we discussed today is, on the surface, both literally and figuratively, quite simple, boring even. It's a generic brown western dragon with no fire-breathing or any other form of energy projectile. However, this is only surface level. Once this dragon enters the water, or even simply gets wet, its appearance changes drastically. Its scales change from a typical crocodilian structure to a structure resembling more of a fish. The brown hide turns into a bright aquamarine. Its wings shrink into its shoulder blades, and webbed fins appear on either of its arms. It fully transforms into an aquatic dragon. Now, we don't know much about how these changes work, but we are continuing to research this, which has become much easier since their population has had quite their resurgence in the past couple of years. There's once a small town in Italy who, frankly, killing these dragons was practically a national pastime. However, this changed after a dragon keeper named Julia protected 2 specimens of this species from a member of our rival faction, a beast hunter named Ercole. After that, the townspeople quickly changed their opinion on these monsters, protecting them. Because of this, their population has flourished even to this day. The last dragon we speak of today is one of, if not the most terrifying creature I have ever faced, even giving the skeletal king wyvern a run for its money. The murderous Ursa dragon was originally spotted in Scotland, but had recently been sighted in the kingdom of Pixar. Unlike the previous examples, this is a singular entity and not a species. This dragon greatly resembles a giant large black bear. It is often seen with large scars from past battles, as well as weapons protruding from its hide. But as strange and eerie as its appearance is, this doesn't hold a candle to the eeriness of its backstory. There is a local legend regarding the origins of this beast that states that it was once a human, specifically a Scottish prince, hence by the name of Mor'du, which I am 100% sure I am pronouncing incorrectly. Long ago, Mor'du was supposed to be the heir of his kingdom after his father died. However, the king decided instead to divide the kingdom between him and his 3 brothers. Enraged, he made a deal with a local witch to give him the strength needed to conquer his brothers. Somehow, the witch took this request as, "I want to be transformed into a giant bear dragon." Given that there are other legends about the witch turning people into bears or bear-related things, I am left simply assuming this witch happened to have a strange bear obsession. Either way, humans who can transform into dragons are uncommon but not impossible. In fact, many of the dragon slayers, and even I, well, that's a story for another day. Either way, as many Faustian deals go, this one did not work out well for Mor'du. The longer he stayed in his dragon form, the more his mind would warp into that of a dragon, going purely off animalistic instincts. Soon the man inside was dead, leaving only the dragon. Typically, dragon keepers do not kill their targets. That's a beast hunter job. However, with this one, we might just leave it for the beast hunters. Specifically one that has been hunting this target for the past few years. A former Scottish princess by the name of N.E.R.D.